The third meeting of the Super 1 season got underway at Rowra in Cumbria, and in this part we're looking at the Rotax 177 class. This is a class for the big boys, and they don't get much bigger than the 6'4" poleman, Luke Oliver. I spoke to Luke earlier in the day. Luke, good result for you at the opening round for the Rotax 177 class, but just tell us a little bit about your history first of all. How long have you been karting for? What have you been doing?
I started racing when I was about 9 years old. I've been racing for 10 years. Moved from WTP in the old days, and then we moved our way up to senior Rotax, and this year we started 177, so yeah, it's a competitive grid, I'd say, this year. Yeah.
And last year you did Rotax, of course, senior Rotax, but you're how tall? 6 foot?
6'4", so we're going up against probably 5'10" drivers, so we had a massive disadvantage, so we moved up to the 177 just to level the playing field for us anyway.
And good result for you yesterday. Just talk us through your day.
Yeah, we had a good qualifying, put it on pole. Unfortunate final one. We did win final one, but we were underweight, so we had to start at the back for final two. But we started at the back and made our way to first and won the race. So yeah, it was a good result.
And today conditions look pretty similar. It's a little bit overcast at the moment, looking to be a bit brighter later. So I guess you hope for a similar result.
Yeah, I hope for a similar result. I think we'll be starting pole position for the finals. So hopefully we can keep the form and win those as well and come away with a win.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
So Luke Oliver lines up on the front row of the grid in pole position with Tony Dickinson beside him, Jack Tritton and Jamie Broderick, then Keegan Reeve and Ewan Logan in sixth position. 10 minutes on the clock. That's going to be about 14 laps of racing when you add the bonus lap. Here we go, through into the first chicane, and Luke Oliver holds the lead. Oh, goodness me! He took so much of that curb on the exit of the third apex. I genuinely thought he was going to clout the tyre barrier. He was that close. Dear, oh dear, Tony Dickinson, championship leader after yesterday, but now he's got a bit of a mission on his hands. Seek out and destroy Luke Oliver's chances.
Yeah, that curb, as we know from Matthew Collins, has taken Matthew Collins' chain off twice yesterday. So it can be an issue, although I think Matthew's the only one really that's had a major issue this weekend, losing chains over the exit of the chicane. But like you say, Jake, it's a bit of a risk.
So Luke Oliver is going to come through, and it's going to be a whistle on the 48s for the first lap, a perfectly clean lap, 48.0, absolutely spot on the mark. Tritton, though, is giving Tony Dickinson a real run for his money as they come up towards the first hairpin. Good to see her first appearance in the Super 1 paddock for Ewan Logan as he tries to make his impression on the Rotax 177 field. Very exciting class this, of course. Not quite the numbers we've been hoping for, but the racing is still very good indeed. Jamie Broderick, P4 for Team Modus Motorsport, and he's trying to shake off Keegan Reeve, who is in fifth position right underneath him as they go through the Stuart S's, down the drop, up towards St John's, through the screaming right-hander. You blip the throttle. Some people don't even brake for that right-hander. They just ease off the power, plant on the inside line, get back on the power at the berth of the apex, and then they have to brake hard for Sunny Bend because it's much tighter. But it's a proper roller coaster of a circuit, this one. Lots of peaks, lots of troughs, and there's a lot of camber around this circuit as well. You have a lot of elevation changes, so it's a real physical task for these drivers, as now we've got a battle for second place, Dickinson versus Tritton, and this battle, Broderick versus Reeve for fourth position.
You can see Ewan Logan off the back of these as well. Ewan's here at Super 1 for the first time this weekend. By his own admission, he says, I'm here to learn, to get some experience, race against drivers with more experience than me, and he's certainly getting that as he comes through the Stuart S's. That's the race leader, Oliver, though. He's stretching his legs and already well clear. The gap was just under a second last time. Looks like it's over a second now.
Well, Luke Oliver's definitely taken to this class like a duck to water. All you need to know really about the difference between senior Rotax and Rotax 177 is the minimum weight regulation. In senior Rotax, with full suit on and helmet, kart, driver, it's 162 kilos. In this category, it's 177, hence the name of the class. What is Tony Dickinson waving, Val?
Not sure.
That's an interesting signal. I've not seen that one before. It's almost like he was trying to signal that he's turning into a right-hander. He's not on a bicycle.
Yeah, you were talking about the weight, Jake, for this class. This is not a category for drivers that like to go on a diet. This is a category for people like me and you, Jake, that like a cooked breakfast in the
Yeah,
morning.
I was just going to say, we enjoy a fry-up in the morning. Fair enough, okay.
I mean, it's not just for people who are of a certain stature. Luke Oliver here in this one, I think he's 6'4" and still growing, Luke Oliver.
Yeah, that's true.
So the fact, I mean, he's very slim, but he's 6'4". There's a lot of weight packed into a body that's 6'4" in size. So it allows drivers to have a category they can still compete in, because Luke was racing, as he said earlier in his interview, in senior Rotax last year, but he just can't compete at the size he is.
Because he's taller,
He's
absolutely.
taller, he's heavier, he was so many kilos overweight.
Wasn't he underweight yesterday, in fact?
Weirdly, he was, yes, he got excluded for being underweight yesterday.
So,
Very strange.
Well, he must have had a very nice steak dinner last night in order to comply with the regulations again. Fair enough. I actually quite like it, to be fair, because so much about motor racing at this level is about those who, you know, are basically gymaholics, and they absolutely intensify the training every single time, but you don't always get that, and I find it really, really difficult, even when I am going down the gym all the time, to lose the weight, partially because, you know, there's nothing like bacon fat in the morning, is there? It's just the way it is. So at least there's a class for people like me. If anyone does want to give me a run out in Rotax 177, I will turn up on the dial and I will be dead last in every race, but I'll enjoy every second of it.
And that's the thing, it's about enjoying your racing, and providing you're doing that, then you know this class, this category is designed for just that. You know, these guys are never going to be they're not going to be Formula One drivers or to go necessarily car racing. They're looking for a cheap form of motorsport. I'll say a cheaper form of motorsport. There is no cheap motorsport, as we all know that have competed in it, of course.
Jamie Broderick sliding around through that chicane. That is four-wheel drifting through that first apex, and you're able to hang on to it. This is such a physical circuit. Keegan Reeve chasing him down there in 5th position. This is his first appearance in Super 1 as well. Great to see him charging his way further forward, but Jamie Broderick, goodness me, any more sideways and he'd be getting an invitation to go and do rallycross, because that was absolutely on the lock stops. There's Ewan Logan, still trying to keep up with the tow, but his lap times are pretty admirable. 47.8 is his best. He's in the 48.1s at the moment. Same sort of pace as Keegan Reeve. And then Jamie Broderick there in P4. Luke Oliver, though, still running very well indeed as he runs at the sharp end of the field. They continue on their way. 46.550 for Luke Oliver in front of Tony Dickinson. So Jack Tritton there in 3rd position. The gap is about 0.7 of a second now between those two. You can see the gap for yourselves, that he's staying within a second. But this is a much closer discipline of karting towards the likes of Formula One or IndyCar, because this is much more strategic about how hard you push the tyres, when you push the kart, if you look after the kart in the first phase of the race, and when you're sat in behind another driver. Okay, they're only 10-minute races plus the additional lap, but if you look after the tyres better than the guy in front of you, towards the end of the race, it'll start to come back to you, and you're going to get the pace more towards your side. Jack Tritton's pace has actually increased. He was in the 46.9s, he's now up to the 46.7s, and that's just by sitting in the draft of Tony Dickinson up in front, letting him do a lot of the hard work. He's pushing quite hard as well, Tony Dickinson. The pendulum's going to change direction. It's going to swing back into Tritton's favour.
Yeah, Jack Tritton can judge what he's doing on what Tony's doing in front of him, judge his braking, and allow him to get that much closer. He was 0.3 off the pace, but it's just a tenth slower here than Dickinson as things stand. Jamie Broderick, the rookie there, still in 4th place, clear of Keegan Reeve in 5th and Ewan Logan, still on that big learning curve.
Well, Dickinson is now upping the ante, isn't he? He doesn't want any threat at all from the man behind. Luke Oliver got another fastest lap in there, a 46.4 from him, so Oliver is just charging away. Now, he's got to be careful to a certain degree. He doesn't want to push too hard too soon, because if he wears out those tyres too early into the race, then he's going to struggle for grip in the last 2 laps. His advantage is that his height actually makes him a little bit of a slender build, if you like, in the kart to some of the other drivers out there, so he can use the disadvantage he would have in senior Rotax to an advantage in Rotax 177. That's why, in terms of his quality and calibre at the moment, he balances well in the kart, so he's able to get a lot more speed out of it.
Battle on the track really is between Broderick and Reeve for that 4th place. That's the race leader though, Luke Oliver, going through the line one more time. It's a comfortable victory he's going to take today, unless he runs that curb and takes his chain off, of course. but he's not done yet. He's risking that every time with such a big lead.
Oh, he goes very wide out of McRae's as well, because there's a limit, isn't there, at that point on the course. Look, you notice the difference in the two hairpins, don't you? You are so clean on the second one. You don't run the curve at all on Iredale's, but you do at McRae's on the exit because you've got that little bit of runoff. But you have to be very careful where you plant the kart on that bit of runoff, because if you run over it too much, you know, you go over that white line, you risk incurring a penalty. So you've got to be very careful how you push it. This is a great circuit for driving at the limit, but getting that limit so that you're within the regulations, so that you're within a clean lap and doing it perfectly every time. It is like threading the eye of a needle at 45 miles an hour. It is so difficult for these drivers to get it absolutely spot on. And you can watch again the racing line as they come out. That's perfect. That's how it should be done. You've got 2 wheels on the curb, 2 wheels on the racing line. That is the pretty much textbook line to go through that corner for Tony Dickinson. And you can tell when drivers are pushing that limit.
Yeah, you can see as the kart's going around the hairpin there, you can see the inside rear wheel lifting off the ground, and that's how karts get round the corner. We will have to do a feature on that at some point, because literally if you turn the steering wheel on the kart, if it's on the ground, if you just turn the steering wheel right or left and then try and push it from behind without lifting up the inside rear wheel, you just can't push it at all. You lift the inside rear wheel slightly off the ground and it just goes round lovely. You can go left or right on the steering wheel, and that's basically what happens in a corner. You've got to lift the inside rear wheel on the kart to get round the corner. Now, if you lift it too much, it will oversteer. See how it just lifts off the ground there? Lift it too much, it will oversteer. If you don't lift it enough, it will just understeer into the corner. And that's the thing about karting.
Well, it's fascinating watching Luke Oliver's lines through the Stuart S's as well, because he's basically running the grass on that inside apex of the left-hander, isn't he, as he pushes very hard. He's got to be careful that he doesn't get a ticking off from the officials as he comes through and crosses the line. He's just, on the previous lap, he did a 46.3, as we're on the last lap now, end of the 13th lap. A 46.290 is now apparently the best lap that we're going to see from Luke Oliver today as he comes through. He's still pushing very hard indeed on this final couple of laps of the race. Look at him, he's really edging away. It's like he's trying to catch up with a guy about half a minute in front of him. He's pushing that hard. There is the 32, of Ewan Logan. Here we are at the S's. Look, he's flirting with the grass on the inside of that chicane every single time he goes through. But with a gap of nearly 3 seconds, you can afford to be very relaxed indeed. Luke Oliver has definitely found his A game in Rotax 177. I doubt anyone's going to challenge him in his current form. Checkered flag. Luke Oliver takes the victory. 46.290 fastest lap. Absolutely brilliant job. Dickinson in front of Jack Tritton. Jamie Broderick in 4th position. Keegan Reeve is unfortunately demoted down to 6th in the post-race, with Ewan Logan finishing up in 5th. What an absolutely fantastic end to the weekend for Luke Oliver.
Luke, we interviewed you earlier before this final, and it looks like everything came pretty much as expected in that final.
Yeah, it all went to plan. We had a good day. Put it on pole for the qualifying, about 4 attempts up the road. Started first, came first in final 1. Started first, came first in final 2. Yeah, nothing went wrong. Everything was perfect.
Coming here this weekend, did you expect it to go like this?
Not at all. It was our first time here, in fact. So we expected maybe 2nd, 3rd, considering how many people were out there. But coming first wasn't expected. But yeah, we're happy with that result.
Okay, well done. And who do you want to thank?
Mum, Dad, Coles, George Robinson. Yeah, that's.
Well, a win for Luke Oliver, but his exclusion yesterday means, of course, he's not even in the top 5 for the point standings yet. Tony Dickinson leading by 8 to Tritton. Broderick, Reeve and Logan very close in behind. It's going to be a great battle, but speaking of which, Mini Rock is up next, so let's get ready to rock.